Hello and welcome back. Today we're going to be going over how to fill out a domestic violence restraining order in Los Angeles County. So far, if you need any legal help, if you're at Los Angeles County Superior Court of California, County of Los Angeles, if you go to the 4th floor, if you're in person, you can get help on room 426. This is what they'll tell you when you go to court. You can also call to get help by the phone, or you can go online, but be aware they're just gonna have this and you'll just be prompted to just fill it out page by page, and you won't really get to ask anyone for help when you do the online version. Just so you know, they're open from 8 to 12 and then Monday through Thursday 1 to 4. They do close at 11:45 actually, because they need to close down the computers, so you'll be asked to leave at 11:45 a.m. Then they'll open up at 1, and then you can come back and your computer work will be saved. So just keep in mind, if you go over that time, that you won't be allowed back for an hour. So try to come as early as you can, because there is a line. You have to sign in and wait until they call you, so that does take a minute. This is in Spanish in case anybody speaks Spanish. So these are the forms that you will have to complete. This is an info form. This just tells you how to ask for a restraining order, and then you're gonna basically fill out the rest of these forms. So I was in Pomona Superior Court, and I filled out the DV-100, the DV-101, and the DV-109, and the DV-110, and the DV-130. So I didn't fill out the FAM-020 or the FAM-018, but I'll just show you what those look like, just in case. So the required forms, like I mentioned, are the DV-100, 109, 110, and the 001. These are all the forms that I filled out at Pomona Superior Court. I didn't fill out any optional forms, and everything that I filed was public. I'm older than this, and I did have a qualifying relationship as I was dating this person. And then you have to describe this. I'll be giving more resources on how to describe testimony in a clear and concise manner, going minute by minute, as that's usually the best way to get your thoughts out. I know it can be hard when you're going through these, but you're gonna be okay. If you don't want the person to see your address, like if you don't live with them, make sure you do that. I lived with the person, so I didn't do that. I was advised that I could put the court's address if I needed to, or a friend's address, but I don't know anybody, so I didn't need to do that anyways. I didn't have any children, so I'm not going to go over the children's parts. I did have to fill out the firearm part, and I had to list everything about the make, model, color, what it looked like, and I did fill out other orders. I did put property damage and expenses caused by abuse. I don't have a spouse. I did put out the batterer intervention. I did sign that. And I did file my court papers. So after I filled out everything, I had to go downstairs to the filing line, wait in line, and then wait for them to call me up and go ahead and look through and file all my papers. I took a picture once they stamped it and said filed, just for my records, so that I had proof that I filed it. And then once they took 2 days, the papers were ready after they were filed, and I went and picked up free copies. I picked up 3, one for myself, one for the judge, and one for the other party, because I did have to serve them. The judge did grant my temporary restraining order, so that's why I picked it up. You'll also get 3 copies when you do that. You'll get one for you, the sheriff, and the police. So the sheriff will serve, if you know where that person is, for free. And then the police will keep a copy in case you need to call them to report a violation or to enforce the order. Like I mentioned, it was free for me to get the cops to the sheriff to serve it, and then I was getting ready for the court hearing. I had to go in person, so there's more help here that I actually used, and I did have to call the National Domestic Violence Hotline. I was able to get into a shelter, but I was able to keep my house, so I didn't have to go, thankfully. But they do have openings. I did have to call a bunch of places though, a bunch of DV shelters. I did call the LGBTQ line because I am, you know, and I think that that was really helpful because they had a lot more resources. I ended up speaking with their legal aid, and talking to their lawyer for free was really nice. I didn't fill out this form, so I won't be going over that, but like I said, that's the family case cover sheet. And then the declaration of ex parte notice. I didn't fill this out either, but that's kind of what it looks like. You just basically, you see kind of what's going on there. I just didn't inform anybody of this because I couldn't. And I didn't fill that out because I had the sheriff serve it. So this is the Cleats 001. This is the first one that's mandatory for me. I filled out my case number, which when I filed and turned this in, they gave me that. So sometimes you can leave that, or you leave that blank because obviously they filled it in for me. And then I put in the name of the person. I put in the tattoos and scars everywhere. I didn't have that, so that's not something that is necessary if you don't know it. Like, keep in mind, like, if you don't know a lot of these things, you don't have to put them in. I didn't put in a few things. I filled that out. And even though the police did end up taking my, I didn't fill that out, but the judge told me that I should, so I ended up doing that later. And then I put in my information, and I didn't fill that out because it was just me. The pink is what I didn't fill out because I didn't want to. I didn't want people to know. But I filled out this information about myself, and I did fill out that. I didn't fill out any of this. I did fill out these, but you don't have to if you don't know it. That's what they told me. And I did fill this out. I didn't have to fill that out because obviously, and I filled the rest of these out as well. There weren't any, so I didn't have to fill that out. This was the first one for me. And then this, I'll be giving additional resources for what I did to accurately describe this. This just came from my lawyer. She was telling me that, well, not my lawyer. I did get advice from a lawyer though. And they just told me, you know, we advise you to just be very clear and concise and go minute by minute. So I'll go get that now. So this is what the Self-Help Center gave me, how to write a restraining order declaration. The judge will not talk to you before deciding, so include all the information. Make sure you write declaration of and explain how you know the person, how long, what's the time length, how do you have this. That's just reading. Describe the most recent incident of abuse. Include dates if you can't remember an exact time or last time it happened. Estimate the date or at least the month and year. Explain what the other party did. Be detailed and specific. Note the acts of abuse and how often it happened. Write about any injuries, mental, emotional, physical, that you received. Like, I feel so much anxiety, I can't sleep. My blood pressure has gone up. Physical injuries, my arm was broken, I was given a black eye. My chest is tight, I'm so stressed. Describe the second most recent incident. Conclude with the following. I need this order because. Describe what happened. How do you feel? What do you fear? You know, who do you fear? Why? If you have evidence or documents or evidence backing up, attach these as exhibits. If you have the emergency protective order, that's what you get when the police issue you one. Attach a copy. If the other person texted you, attach a message. You can attach those if they were being aggressive or mean during the incident. Any physical contact. He hit me with a fist and then pushed me on the floor. My jaw was bruised and sore for 3 days. She said, I will kick you. She came to my work at least 3 times. Make sure you include all of that. That's a great resource. This is what happens at the, well, this is another resource. This one is for the LACBA Council for Justice Domestic Violence Legal Services Project. They will give you legal information to complete your court papers. That one's really good. This is their address, and it's first come, first serve, so similar to reading again. But let's continue. You know, ask. They ask if did the police come, how often have they abused you, and then they ask you another thing, did they abuse you a different way? And that was interesting to me. I was trying to rack my brain. It's very hard to think about when you're in the moment, but I tried to include as much as I could because this is everything that the judge will see or think about. So I just knew that I had to make and put everything down there. So I spent, you know, like 2 hours because you really have to rack your brain and then you have to write it out. I included like anything else that I wanted them to know, even from 2 years ago. And included everything else. I didn't do any of those. I ended up doing this after all, even though the self-help center told me not to. I ended up having to do that because there was one. And then I did include all of these just because the judge may or may not grant it, but I just did it. And I did all of these too. And I got them. So happy about that. I didn't do any of these because I didn't. I didn't do any of those because I didn't. I did that one, but then again, I didn't do the rest of these because I didn't have to. I did do this one. I didn't do any of these. I did this one. But that was it. And then I did all of these. I didn't do that because I didn't have one. And then I'm gonna finish showing you these. This is the 101. Again, this is gonna be your best friend. Just gonna try to zoom out for everybody. Yeah, that is gonna help you fill these out because you want to be very specific. Go minute by minute. Try to recap everything as it happened, and get your story straight from beginning to end, like I did. And I didn't do any of those. And then I filled out the names. I didn't fill this out because, like I mentioned, didn't fill any of this out. Didn't fill any of that. Didn't do this. And yeah. And then we have the 110. So I filled out these for the other person. I didn't do this. I filled out those. And I had to fill out these after all. I didn't fill that out. Didn't fill these out because the judge did. I didn't do any of those. So this gets pretty nice. You just can keep flipping. Keep in mind, these are all online, so just telling you what I found at the self-help. They didn't tell me much. I didn't do any of these. And yeah, that's the 110 pretty much. They just tell you what happens now. So once the person receives this copy, they receive pretty much this whole thing. And it basically says like where you can receive this, and tells them pretty much what their duties are. Duties of the officers. If it's violated, then they have to do that. And conflicting orders. This is basically the order that they put it in. So you get the first one, the emergency one, and then the no contact. And they enforced them all, basically. But this is what happens if you go to court. You can ask if you can attend remotely, but sometimes they don't do that. So make sure you know that. I did have an advocate sit with me. That was another thing that I wanted to mention about a resource, the LGBTQ Center. I know a lot of places when I called don't have advocates that will come with you to court, but they did, and I was able to get her, and she was amazing. She just kept me calm. They're not lawyers, but she was able to be there for me, and I appreciated that a lot because I moved here by myself and I didn't have anybody to come with me, and I don't know anybody, so that was really nice. I brought everything with me, all the copies that I had. I tried to bring 3 copies of everything that I had, including the restraining order, especially. And this is, make sure you call the judge, Your Honor. That's what I did. I called her ma'am one time. Try to go over any papers. I got there early, even though it said 8:30. I was there at 8:15. I didn't interrupt. The judge gave us both time to speak, and the judge basically asked, well, let's just do this first. So this is what's going to happen today. So that they decided to give me the temporary restraining order, and then I had to go down to the courtroom and pick up a copy of that. And then the court date was set 3 weeks after. I went to give the judicial, once I filed it, the judicial officer, I checked in and told them that I was waiting, and then I ended up waiting for like hours. So maybe like go and then come back, because they don't go until they take a break downstairs to make decisions about the restraining orders. So that takes a few hours, like 3. And then they granted it. So that was nice. They only granted partial, but that's all I needed. And then the 3 copies, like I said, 1 copy for them, 1 copy to be served, 1 copy for me, 1 copy to be served, and 1 copy for the law enforcement. So that's the sheriff's copy. I gave them that, and they attempted service and weren't able to. So that was kind of a bummer, but I was lucky, and I was able to get the police to do it. The police can also serve for free if they're there in person already. I didn't know that, and I found that out. You can still come to court and ask you to give them more time if you can't serve the other person, because you actually can't have your hearing unless the other person's been served. So I was in court, and a few cases were tossed because the person wasn't there and they weren't served. So you don't get it. You got to serve them. That'll make me happy because they went forward. And then self-help, that's who I called too. Again, with the service, if the other person is avoiding service, you can have someone else serve them at their home, their work, somewhere they go a lot, the gym. For instance, if they end up hearing about court and they do come, you can have them served outside of court. If you bring somebody with you, they can do it as long as you have proof of service. Make sure you have that sheet. And explain why you think the other person is avoiding service if you think they are. You can also mail a copy, not you, but someone else, and then publish in a newspaper if the judge defines that they are, or you could post in a courthouse. But you have to ask the judge for that. Like it says, you can ask the judge for permission to post a copy in the courthouse. You have to qualify for a fee waiver. So you have to fill out a form like that. That's what it says. To serve electronically, they have to agree to be served electronically. So it's unlikely they'll agree to that. So the judge could tell you to send them like that, but the judge will tell you that in another way, you have to do one of these. That's why they're highlighted. Free legal help, again, they're shouting them out. Other help. Just wanted to make sure you knew that. If your restraining order is granted, this will happen. Turn in the forms. Look there. and then obey the orders. So if you've had your day in court, the judge will grant you a long term. It can be 1, 3, 5 years. 5 is the highest I saw for the highest violence. And again, like, you don't need a lot of evidence is what they told me. It's your testimony that is counted as evidence in this court. So as long as you explain everything, that's why I was shouting this form out like 4 times, because I'm serious. Like, don't be too vague. Like, that really hurt me. Explain in detail as much as possible like I did, and that should get you, you know, where you need to go. Just stick there, and go to your court hearing like I did. And then this is what you get after the hearing. You don't have to fill any of this out, I think. Or yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. So continue to, I fill out all of these for court. I feel like they attached 2 of these to here, but it's pretty much the same as the other form that I filled out. And then I didn't fill out this one, but I didn't fill out this one either, but that's what that looks like. I didn't fill this one either. I think they just attach all those. So you have to fill them out, maybe? Yeah. This is a court order. Oh, they just gave you all the forms. These are all the optional forms. Yeah. That was it. So, they gave you all these optional forms, but these ones are the only ones that I filled out. This one, not needed. Like I mentioned, 109, 100, 110, 001. Those are the required forms. Everything else is optional. And I hope this helps somebody, because I wish someone would walk me through this when I was going through that. But have a good day. Comment below if it helped you, and have a better day.